What's up, guys? Easton Padden here, and I'm with my good buddy, Ty Cook.
Hello.
So I was really excited. I was talking to Ty a little bit earlier today, and we were kind of going over, like, how did you find the company and what stood out, to you? And I kind of liked your background and your story a little bit. So I figured it'd be awesome to have somebody who's as young as you are, hustling every single week, willing to travel, giving up some time at home kind of thing, and kind of go over some huge reasons on what stood out to you about coming on to Family First Life in the first place, and how'd you find us, and just kind of like give everybody a chance to hear a little bit about your story and your background.
Cool. So shout out Brad Lee, Dropping Bombs podcast, little plug there. But heard him interview Sean Mike. Initially, I was like, wow, Sean's super high energy. This guy's crazy. And then he basically, broke everything down about the life insurance industry, recruited Bradley on the podcast. And I was like, well, I mean, if Brad Lee, jumped over, it's like, I should at least check it out. So I was in solar at the time, had been doing solar since about 2016, had success in solar, managed some teams, sold at a decent level. But basically, just reached out and found that, the things that life insurance and specifically Family First Life offered just, far surpassed the opportunity at the time in solar. Reached out, found out that you and Zach were some of the top dogs, at FFL, top producers, which meant you worked hard. And so reached out. Luckily, you guys lived in Colorado, which is where I'm at. So it worked out and linked up, and so far so good. A couple months in. So
sweet. So how did you track down solar to, like, what drew you to getting into like sales in the first place? Like, why did you go into the door-to-door direction or sales at all?
Yeah. So backstory, came from a family where all my uncles and grandpa were pretty successful dentists and orthodontists. And that was kind of like, for me, my dad, he was in the construction industry. So seeing the wave, through 2008 and that hit that industry hard. So from my perspective growing up, I was like, okay, well, if I don't want to struggle with money, look at my grandpa, look at my uncles. Okay, they all are dentists and orthodontists, so I'm going to do that. Well, got to school and realized, like, okay, this is a joke, and there's no way I'm doing this for 10 years. And so I basically went to my wife and was like, hey, we can either go to school, be in a bunch of debt, or, we had some friends and some buddies who were selling door to door, and it was like summer sales. And so she was like, I don't want to be poor for 10 years and be in debt. So let's go try sales. So I tried door-to-door sales back in 2016. That was out in Fresno, California, which is beautiful. Not really the armpit of California.
I've never been there.
Yeah.
No idea.
No reason to go. Sorry if you're from Fresno, anybody who's listening to this. But basically saw the potential, stuck with that, did it for a summer, went back to school, eventually came back to solar, and really went hard at it the last, I'd say, 4 years, doing, inside sales for solar, mostly door-to-door, setter closer models where you're just running appointments, running teams, and basically just got to the point where with COVID, at least in Colorado, the solar industry kind of took a hit. Projects got delayed out, and so it was tough to swallow the 6-month turnaround on a commission, because it was all commission only. So that was kind of
huge waiting period so you go out, get somebody hooked up with their solar, and then you're kind of sitting in this window just waiting.
Yeah, wow. Basically, just waiting. And we'd get paid, a little bit, but then, if a project takes 6 months here in Colorado, a ton of military people were moving before we could install it. So it's like, okay, well, we need to figure something out. So it kind of came at the perfect time, where we saw Bradley's podcast, said, hey, let's check it out. Basically came in with, hey, let's give it a shot. I already know how to sell. Let's just see if this platform's a better fit, and it has been.
Dude, talk about the lead stuff a little bit, because I know that was like one of your biggest questions when you first came on. You're like, okay, so I saw on the podcast and I watched some videos, you guys are leads based. So does that mean that I can just get as many as I would like? And that was like a weird, thing for you to ask. I was like, well, I mean, of course you can. Because I'd never been in solar, so I didn't know that there's, the lead, what is it, like you said it was 350?
Well, so like there's several ways to get leads in solar. I mean, just like anything, like there's people in life insurance that still knock doors, but the main way to generate leads in solar is door to door. And so that's either, me myself going out to knock doors, or building a team of appointment setters that can go and knock. And if I'm experienced and can close, then, I can go to those. Whereas here,
Wow.
it's like, okay, we have all these vendors, and you can, the cost ranges from like, a couple cents, like literally like 50 cents, $1.50, all the way up to, $100, which in solar, if you were to buy, online leads, you can get leads for maybe, if you're lucky, like 25, $50, but like to actually get like in front of someone might cost you like, I don't know, anywhere from $3 to up to $1,000 just to get a qualified sit, to actually sit down. And that's either paid up front or on the back end to your appointment setter. So just the ability to say, okay, I want to turn on leads is like anybody who's
Massive
in
game
sales.
changer.
Yeah, it's like the dream come true. It's like, okay, can you sell? Yes. Okay, do you have leads? If the answer is no, you have no one to sell. And so you plug a yes there, right? You have a ton of leads. It's like, okay, just go show up, call the leads, get a hold of them, set an appointment, go close them. That's the name of the game.
You hear Sean talk about that a lot, where like if you're working somewhere and there's no possible way for you to get leads, it is going to eventually be a dead end. Especially in the insurance space, you can only talk to your aunts, uncles, friends, family so many times before you stop getting invited places. So having, a lead option, I think creates a ton of opportunity for everybody that's willing to invest in themselves, get enough leads, and go to work. Because it truly is as simple and as structured as that. Like, I just need to get leads, get on the phone, and plug in, get some help when I need it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the leads thing was obviously a big difference with you adjusting industries. What else that we were talking about earlier kind of stood out where you're like, hey, this is something where, there's an end game, basically. There's an exit strategy where I'm actually building to something. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, and that's probably the biggest thing. I would say before that, kind of like, leads is number one. Number two would just be the commission schedule. So in solar, it was dragged out. If you're in some markets, you can get paid, fully in a couple weeks. But in most markets, it's 2, 3, up to maybe 6 months to get your full commission. Whereas with the way FFL has structured things with the carriers, the way their comp is structured, it's like I can go out, help a family today, and within 72 hours, I'm getting, most of that, if not all of that, paid right away. And so that alone allows you to scale because you're not waiting, you're not on these sales cycles or these install cycles. And so you can, for someone like me, who my goal is to, build a business, is I can take that commission and now plug that into the business to kind of fuel the fire, start the flywheel effect. To what you mentioned, the biggest thing that drew me over here is there is an end game, if you choose, right? So, I can come here and I can sell. And if I just want to be a one-man band and sell forever, I can totally do that, make a great living, and, have at it. But if I want to build a business, which I've, the last couple of years I've recognized I wanted to do, I can, learn how to sell, or at least sell at a good level, bring people on board who, want to pursue the same opportunity, teach them how to provide for their family, sell at a high level. And then from there, if I scale it large enough, I can choose to either continue building or partner with a company, Integrity, where we can basically take some chips off the table and continue to, it's not, I'm checking out, going to live on a beach somewhere, but, I don't have to be in the grind day to day selling in the field. I can just focus on building the business and developing agents and helping people, which is really, exciting. Because in solar, it's like, okay, you work for a company and, maybe you move up to management if there's enough spots, right? If there's a market open, you can, they'll let you go out and open up the new market. And then maybe you become a regional, but it's like, okay, what's the end game there? Maybe you start a company, maybe. But here it's like, no, the blueprint is there. You hit this metric. That's the other thing I like, is it's very clear. you hit this metric, and you have the opportunity, to basically take some chips off the table and partner up with a company that's worth a ton of money and is successful in the insurance space. So
Well, yeah, and integrity marketing is like kind of taken over. I mean, they're partnering with as many massive businesses as they possibly can. And I think the cool part for us is there's not like, hey, once we've reached 50, partnerships, then we're out. Like that's what they do as a company is they partner with other companies to help grow the company. So it's not something they're ever going to stop doing. And every individual that comes over here gets to make that decision. Hey, do I just want to kind of be left alone and do my own thing and go out and help people, take care of my family, and that's kind of what I like and want to do? Or do you want to see how many people you can bring on and create something that's actually purchasable with an active purchaser who says, "Hey, we like you guys. We're going to partner with your company already." And that was massive for us for Sean to set it up like that, because that's not something that he had to do. And that was kind of like a big thing that he decided to give back to us, was like, hey, I want to make sure that everyone that comes on here has the same shot as you guys are giving me. And they said, cool, sounds good.
Yeah.
So I think for your industry specifically, or anything that's door to door, there's no point in time where you own your own, I guess with the exception that you started the company and you own the company. But outside of that, you don't really have any point in time where you created something where you can work from anywhere in the world with your phone, and that I think that's a pretty special opportunity and that's one thing that I loved that we had. It was like a day one conversation. Like, hey, yeah, I saw the lead stuff, super pumped about that. I saw they pay fast, also excited about that. Comps out of this world high compared to everybody else. Love that. Can you talk to me about the integrity stuff? And you were here for like 6 hours at the time.
Yeah. And it's just because it's like, okay, I'm 27 years old right now. Wife, daughter's 3. So it's like, do I want to be, what I grew up with was, a mom and dad who, loved us, a ton and worked as hard as they could to provide. And I definitely don't want to, pretend that I wasn't, blessed, to definitely middle class, right? It wasn't like we didn't have food. We had everything we, could ever need. But we also didn't have those things that, like, I saw other people have, like, oh, why do the Johnsons have a boat? Oh, it's because their dad owns a business. Like, okay, why can he just work his own schedule? Oh, it's because he's a realtor, right? So I knew, like, okay, well, I want time back because my dad worked, still does 9 to 5. And, everyone knows with 9 to 5, you're actually working longer because you're getting up at 6, driving an hour, getting home at 6, and then you're exhausted. That sounds miserable, right? And so for me, it's like, okay, let me sprint for like, let's say 3 years, right? Or even if it takes me 10, like let's say worst case, I suck at this. It takes me 10 years. Okay, I'm 38. I partner with integrity. If that opportunity arises, I'm going to take it every time. Okay, well, I'm still, not retired, but I never have to worry about money again. And if it happens in 3 years, by the time I'm 30, I have, financial security and time with my daughter. I can teach her how to play soccer. I can go to her events or whatever she wants to do. I can be there. And then for me and my wife, it's important to us that we can live wherever we want. We can travel wherever we want. We don't have to be like locked in a house, and we go on 2 vacations a year and can't do much more than that. If we want to go live in, Arizona for 6 months at a time just because, or California maybe for, a few months at a time, like we can do that. So I think having that end game in mind, ultimately that's like why I'm here. And for me, I know I'm like kind of rambling, but for me, it was like, I'm a pretty black and white kind of guy as in like when I look at decisions, I'm like drawing a line down the middle of a piece of paper and decide, like looking at, okay, where am I at now? What does this opportunity provide? And it was like crystal clear. It's like on solar, at least in my, situation, no leads, right? Unless I wanted to go door knock. Decent comp, but like slower comp really is what it is slower comp. Leadership, that's hit or miss anywhere you go. And there's several things, but the biggest thing was that end game. So like on the other side, okay, we have leads. Yes. High comp that's fat, like it pays out fast. Yes. Leadership, off the charts, right? You don't know that until you get into an organization, but from what I could tell is like great leadership, which has been true. Everybody works hard and they don't stop even if they've made it, and then the end game. So for me, it was like a no-brainer decision. And I think there's probably a lot of people in the door-to-door industry. Solar, you can make a lot of money. There's guys who do, and girls who do really well and set themselves up. So if you're not in solar and you're destined to stay in door to door, definitely go to solar, like pest control and alarms. Like you should be in solar by now. But I think anybody in door to door should at least consider, the opportunity, because if all that sounds good, it's like, to me, it was a no brainer. I think for a lot of people, they would probably agree.
Well, you just get to take a massive variable out of the equation, which is where am I going to get people looking to buy what I have to sell? Mm-hmm. And you can eliminate that question on where you're going to get them. And we've got, I don't know, X amount of millions of leads right now active in the CRM of people that are requesting and asking for help with some form of life insurance. Mm-hmm. And that just eliminates the biggest worry that you would have as a business owner is, who do I have that's interested in what I have? Mm-hmm. So I think that's always going to be, a huge foundation piece for me is no contract and leads, mm-hmm. And being able to take the reins on your career and truly accomplish whatever you want is massive. And one of the favorite things that we had talked about that you told me, you said one of my favorite things has always been bringing in people that I know really well. One of your good buddies, Joey, for example, I like to be able to bring them in and then show them an opportunity and just let them see what they can do. Mm-hmm. And then I liked how you worded it to where it gives you a chance to give back to somebody and show them something that could, help them change their life. And I think that's why you're going to build a massive organization, is because, you're here to try to take care of your family and make sure that you have ample time with your wife and your daughter. Escape the rat race, be in full control of your future, and then wanting to go out and give back to people and help rescue them from this door-to-door grind with no leads and slow pay and no chance to build a business and a company that they own. I think that's going to make you a lot different than those who don't see it like that, where it's like, I'm here to win, but I'm here to give back and try to help as many people as I can.
Yeah, totally. And it is like that. Like, I think everybody, who pursues any sort of like 1099 commission or like entrepreneur or in this case, intrapreneur, where, you kind of work under an organization, but they give you the system and you're 1099. So, we have our own business, but it's not like we're just here, go figure it out. It's like, it's almost like a franchise. It's like at no cost other than like your work ethic, right?
Yep.
So it's like, hey, here's the model. The leaders that you link up with, they're going to teach you how to do it. And then, just follow the model and you can build. And the other thing too, like helping other people get out of the rat race, that's like a huge motivation for me. But like in solar, I never left a house and they were like in tears, like of gratitude, right? Like thanking me for, mm-hmm. helping them get solar. Like maybe they were stoked to save 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks a month on their electric bill. That's cool. Like, okay. But like in this, only doing this a couple months, it's like, I've had several people when I'm in their house going over it, talking about their family, like they get emotional and then they're so grateful that I was able to help them. So it's not like we're doing anything unethical either. It's like, okay, we have all of the resources we need. We can help people, bring them on board, as like a job, an opportunity. And we could also make a huge impact on, the clients that we help, because they're asking, it's basically like someone has a rash or like a sickness and they don't know what's going on and they go to the doctor, they call the doctor, and they're so grateful that the doctor tells them exactly what to do and is like, thank you so much, I need this medication. Basically gets them out of their situation. It's like same thing here. It's like we're getting people raising their hands saying, I need life insurance, for X, Y, and Z reason. I can't stand, the thought of, something happening to me and my wife is left, without anything. It's like we come in, we solve that issue, and they're just super grateful. So it's a totally different, I think, approach than solar.
Yeah, and we can probably wrap up with that, because I think that's honestly the core of why the company is doing so well, is because when everybody comes here and puts the clients first, and you go over there and just say, I'm here to figure out how I can help you because you did ask for the help. So walk me through what happens. And you just kind of like have a normal conversation. It doesn't have to be weird. And you don't have to be this, I was under the, misunderstanding that you have to be some kind of like sales wizard to come over here and do really, really well. And it's like, have you thought about just like having a conversation with them and, when you're not in there for 5 hours asking about grandkids and stuff, but why am I over here? Like, why is this important to you? What happens without it? And then you solve their problem. And like you said, they literally will tear up. They're so grateful to have somebody take time out of their day to help their family, set them up in a good situation where something really bad happens on their worst day of their life. We're the people that went out and took care of them. So I love that, dude. Thanks a bunch for hopping on. If somebody wants to work with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can slide into the DMs if you'd like. Instagram at Ty Cook was taken, so you got to throw my middle name in. Ty Jeffrey Cook, TyJeffreyCook. Or I guess you could text me 469-422-7398. And even if it's just asking questions, like I'm always open. I'm an open book. You can ask me straight up, and I'll anybody who's wondering, I can let them know.
Well, awesome. I love having you on the team, and I'm pretty excited to see where you finish out the next year and a couple of years coming. It's going to be huge.
Awesome. Thanks, Easton.